Hey Trinae, hey boo. Hey Sims, how are you? Welcome to the chat. Our guest of the hour,
Hey, there you go.
Chris. How's it going?
All is well.
Long time no see.
Yeah, I know, right?
So this is our the Anderson Streets Project neighborhood chat series. This is just our little way of touching base with some of Philadelphia's best and brightest musicians. And if anyone asks me, like, what's one of my favorite bands in Philly, I could go on record and say it by saying that Vertical Current is one of my favorite bands around. So it's an honor for me to have you on. We've talked offline for years, so it's great for us to finally do something official. So welcome.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
Yeah. So I guess the way that we've been starting all of our chats is just with a simple question, which is how are you?
I am okay.
Mm.
I'm okay. I'm blessed. I have what I need, and family's okay, so I'm good, man.
Mm. So I know this is like a big change for you, being dormant of sort, because you're either on the road or at some gig in Philly. How have you been handling the change?
Um, I've just been trying to stay focused, stay busy, keep being productive. Um, it's true that on the road right now, I haven't always toured.
Hmm.
So it's not like this is completely uncharted territory. You
Yeah.
know, I've over the years done a lot of sessions, just recording horns and stuff of that nature. So still doing that when I can. Other than that, doing some writing of my own, trying to think about what I might want to say during this time, if anything, physically, and trying to think of how to collaborate with now that, everybody's schedules a bit more free. Uh,
Yeah.
but probably more than anything, trying to pray more and trying to, this time cultivating my relationship with my wife.
Yes.
You know, doesn't make sense to be busy where I'm not doing that. So I'm still being husband, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, so that was an interesting phrase that you said. You want to use the time to figure out what you want to say in your next project. Do you know what you want to say yet?
Not exactly. It's still kind of coming to me. I've been fooling with a few ideas, thinking about even revisiting some of the previous released and messing with them, doing remixes. Uh,
Hmm.
I think that kind of is fitting, because that's the phase we're in. I mean, like everything is kind of still here, but nothing is where it's supposed to be.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, because again, I'm a big fan. It seems like in a lot of the vertical current projects, there's a big emphasis on spirituality. So can you talk about the relationship between spirituality and your music?
Oh yeah, sure. The Lord Jesus, Lord,
Hmm.
and is the foundation of my songwriting and my playing. I don't know if you have noticed, but if you listen to the lyrics of any of the songs that I've written, there's always this sense of hope, and I would say there's always a parallel, between the natural and the spiritual.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Mm. Does the music enhance your spirituality, or is it the other way around?
Interesting. I I think I want to say that both are true.
Mm.
Um, it's more so on the sense of my relationship with God, feeding that, because that's where my gift comes from. But at the
Yeah.
same time, in using my gift, nurturing, um, work, I feel like that opens me up creatively and emotionally and allows me to speak. It's like I'm,
Mm.
you know,
What is the not to get too deep, but what do you think God is telling you now through this time that we're in?
uh, um, I believe he's telling me definitely to make sure that I'm ready, stay ready.
Mm.
Also, to cultivate relationships that I have. I've noticed. I watched a couple interviews recently during this time, and it's
Mm-hmm.
like I grew up around. It's like I said to you, yeah, I know this person. Listen to their story, listen to them talking about, this misses, and I feel like now is a great time to try to just catch people and actually talk to them, actually find out what's going on in their life, what it is
Mm.
they're feeling and dealing with, and even learn about maybe accomplishments that they've had. It's just so much that I feel like I've missed. Some it was because I got into the industry young, and
Yeah. How young?
I was like 16, so
Mm.
I wasn't. I don't think I was thinking anything like this, and it just I would meet people and it'd be like, cool, I met this. Move on, meet the next person, and didn't really dig into trying to have strong relationships. So I
Mm-hmm.
am not just seeking support, but also support.
Yeah.
It's a delicate balance. Especially when you're busy, but with all this time we have, it's just about balancing the time and prioritizing. And like I said before, just trying to stay, trying not to spend all the time just watching Netflix because it's easy to do if you find a good enough show.
Yeah. Yeah. Chris, there is something a little going on with your sound. Like you cut in and out a little bit.
Okay.
You might want to just check the Wi-Fi. Sometimes if you turn off the Wi-Fi, the quality is a little better. Hey, Lady Alma, how's it going?
I did turn it off. Is this better? Maybe I
Yeah,
need to hold
that's
it.
better.
All right. I
Yeah,
think the stand was getting in the way.
yeah. So, Lady Alma says hello. Hey, lady.
Hey, Lady Alma, how you doing? Miss you.
And she'll be coming. She'll be on very soon.
Very
Can't tell
cool.
y'all when, but she'll be on. Um, so what made you pick up the trumpet?
My older brother. His name is Eric, and he's a drummer now. He's done a ton of stuff. He was touring long before I was.
Mm.
But when we were kids, just one day we had bunk beds, and he was on the top bunk playing the trumpet, and I was like, "What is that? Can I play it?" And he was like, "No." He said, "When you go to school, tell them that you want to play the trumpet." And that's what I did. I told the music teacher that I wanted to play the trumpet, and I just stuck with it. I really love the instrument. Mhm.
Yeah. And your father, did your father start Vertical Current? Like or because like your father's a musician too, right?
Yeah, my father is a bassist. He's the bassist in Vertical Current. He didn't start the band, but I would say we kind of founded it together. It started with me, and he was the first person I asked to officially be a part of it, and it was the two of
Nice.
us, and then Brandon Mullen, right after that, and really it was the three of us for the first few rehearsals because we didn't have a keyboard player or guitar player or anything. So you've heard the music. I'm sure you can imagine what that must have been like trying to play those songs. Just a three-piece.
That's crazy.
Um,
That's actually quite insane because it's such a full sound.
right. So that was a interesting time to say the least. Yeah.
Hmm. So and then when you started Vertical Current at what age? So let's actually go back a little bit. So 16. So when you were 16, like what was your first gig at 16?
When I was 16, I was playing with my cousin Ty Trivet and his group
Oh,
Jointon. So,
wow.
yep, doing that, going to Monday night rehearsals until about 1 or 2 in the morning, and getting yelled at by my parents for being out all night when I had school in the morning.
So wait, how many careers did your cousin launch? Because it seems like Ty is like the sixth degree of separation between musicians in Philly.
Well, that group was definitely a hub. A lot of people played for Ty. You know,
Yeah.
Jamar Jones at one point was playing in the group.
Hmm.
Omar Edwards, Aaron Draper. I'm sure you all know Paris Bowens,
Hmm.
Spanky. Um,
Trey.
yeah, Trey.
Hmm.
A whole bunch of people. You know, I mean, it was the group to be in. And oddly enough, when he started, my mom was like, your cousin's having auditions, and saying that your cousin is having auditions, for his choir, and I was like, I don't think I really want to play for a choir, you know. But then when I saw them perform for the first time, I had a change of heart.
Yeah.
um, and then, fortunately, I got that opportunity, and I did that for a lot of years.
Hmm. And you were like, so then after Ty, was that when you decided to launch Vertical Current?
Not immediately, actually.
Uh,
Actually, right before the Thai situation ended, I went back to school. I went to Temple,
okay.
um, and
TU's in the building as always.
yeah. So that fall of 2008, I went to Temple, and then the next fall, 2009, is when I started the band. So.
Mm. Hmm. And so, I mean, how did you guys get your following in Philly? Because it seems like if there's an event, you guys are always doing something around town. May that be at South, the Kimmel Center, wherever you guys are there.
I don't know. I think maybe people have just been spreading the word about us, which I greatly appreciate. We all greatly appreciate it. We've tried to do whatever marketing we can with, online services, and we have a website and all that kind of stuff. But I think really just, you know, those who did attend shows or buy the albums, really helped us out by telling their friends. And I hope that will
Yeah.
continue, that we'll continue to produce content that is meaningful and inspiring, and that will be something that people will want to share with the people that
Yeah.
they love. You know.
Yeah. And I just want to do a quick commercial break. This is a neighborhood chat. So if folks have things that they want to ask Chris, feel free to drop those questions in the comments, or send us a private message, and we will get to it. Um, so what music have you been listening to get through this time that we're in?
Uh, Man, I wrote down a couple things just to try to remember. Um, it seems like in times like now when I'm recording a lot, I'm mostly listening to whatever I'm working on.
Mm,
But I've kind of had the itch to go back and listen to some older stuff, so I went back and listened to some old Clifford Brown,
okay.
some old Bobby McFerrin,
Yeah.
some old Kimberell, some
Yes.
old Yellow Jackets, a little bit of Michael W. Smith, just different things like that. On iTunes, I get a notification every week of like new releases, so I'll
Hmm.
browse through all of those and see what's out. And yeah, I just kind of been bouncing around, finding different things.
Mm.
If anything, I've probably been watching more stuff than listening.
Oh,
Checking
what have you
out
been
like the
watching?
Zildjian Live and all the different videos that are coming out.
Yeah. Have you been like following the Instagram stuff? Like, did you watch the Jill Scott Erica Badu battle?
I missed it, and I found it online, but I haven't watched it yet. I'm
Oh,
sure
okay.
it's great. Though
Oh,
they're
yeah.
extremely talented and their catalog is really dope.
Yeah, it was definitely one of my favorite nights during quarantine. My
Yeah.
second favorite is actually today. The Stevie Wonder tributes have been phenomenal.
Mm.
And speaking of like Stevie, like do you have any like favorite Stevie songs? It is, for those who don't know, is Stevie Wonder's 70th birthday.
Yeah,
So happy
happy
birthday,
birthday,
Stevie.
Stevie Wonder. Overjoyed is one of my favorites.
Mm,
Too High is probably one of my favorites to
yeah,
play. That or Don't You Worry About a Thing.
yeah.
And what's the song? It's something I just learned it. I gotta look it up. I'll come back to that one. But I wish I could think of it. It's such a. Oh, I'm bringing it up on my computer. What else you want to ask me? I'll come back to that one.
Yeah, like you know the I feel like every Stevie Wonder fan, they always go through like the question is, what's your favorite Stevie album?
Mhm.
Like, are you able to pick one?
Am I able to pick one? What's the one with You Got It Bad?
Oh, interesting. That's was that for fulfilling this first finale, was that one?
No, I don't think it's that one. It's
Or was that Talking
I Can
Book?
See It.
Was that
Huh?
Talking Book?
Yes, I think it's Talking
Yeah,
Book.
Talking Book. Yeah, that was
Yeah, where
before
he's
the
wearing the dashiki on
Yes.
the cover. That one.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Interesting. The Inner Visions is mine. I
Okay.
don't. Yeah, I don't. Well, I feel like this. For me, music had like for me to pick a favorite album, it had to have changed me in a way. Either like it made me think about music differently, or it made me improve as a person.
Mm,
And Inner Visions did both for me.
okay.
Yeah, I think I found Intervisions when I was like 19. And that was when my roommate in college would play it nonstop. And I was like, I need to listen to this album for myself. And then I started, I think Visions might have been the first time I had an emotional reaction to a song. So maybe the
Okay.
first or second time. But anyway, enough about me.
Summer
Um,
Song.
oh, Summer
That's
Song.
a
Yeah.
great one too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a really good one. So, I mean, because Chris, you're how old?
I am 37.
You're 37. And so, I'm 30, turning 33. So, they wouldn't, and I asked Lauren Talise this question too. Jazz isn't associated with people in our age group. So how did you come to identify with jazz and being an instrumentalist in that genre when it's not really in our age group?
I think it started at home. I would say, my dad being the bassist. My mom's a singer, by the way. I didn't say that earlier, but
Oh,
with my
nice.
dad being the bassist, he turned me on to a lot of stuff, like all his favorite bass players. So Jaco Pastorius, listening to Weather Report, the Yellow Jackets is one of his favorite bands too. So
Yeah.
listening to them, listening to Victor Bailey, listening to Victor Wooten, listening to Bill Fleck and the Flecktones. It was more that kind of jazz and stuff, mostly growing up. With some Miles Davis sprinkled in there, and like what's my man? Doc Severinsen. And then later, I started to get into more traditional jazz, playing in like school bands and stuff. They would do different things, but really when I went to college the first time, I went to Berkeley, and that's where I got turned on to so much stuff.
Yeah.
That was actually when I first discovered Clifford Brown. I
Uh,
didn't really know about him until I got there. Met this Italian guy, Giorgio De Stant, excellent trumpeter. And I would just crash his practice room from time to time. And he would be in there playing all of Clifford's lines, sounding amazing. I was like, what is this? He's like, oh, it's Clifford Brown. I'm like, who is that? So I actually found one of his CDs at a record shop up there and listened to that. And I picked up Jafar Barron's album that same day, I think. And so that was really how I started to get into traditional jazz. And then I kept listening over the years. And then I went back to Temple and dug into it a whole lot more. So I don't know. Jazz has kind of always been an element in my environment and in my playing. But It it was kind of a new focus for me in the latter years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What do you think about the current state of jazz?
I don't know. It's interesting. I think all of the music that we have right now is a big mixture. Nothing is really pure anymore. So hip
Yeah.
hop has a little bit of something else. Pop has a little bit of something else. Jazz has a little bit of something else. So we don't really have that raw element of whatever you might consider to be pure jazz. Although even that is a mixture of things, you know.
Yeah.
So I think the idea and the theme of jazz is still very strong. The idea that you can improvise in so many different realms of music is very strong. And I love what I'm seeing from a lot of the young artists. One of my buddies, Christian Scott, I just saw the photograph for the
Love
first time.
him.
And I'm
Yes.
listening and I'm like, that's got to be Christian. And then lo and behold, it was Christian. And he's
Yeah.
been, at the forefront of a lot of the young jazz, Esperanza. We were at birthday together. Marquise Hill, I think it's his birthday today. Happy birthday, Marquise. There's so much young talent. And I don't know. I'm just happy to hear it. And I'm inspired by it. And sometimes it makes me want to quit.
Well, don't do that. we will not do that. I won't. Evan Burton won't let that happen.
Well, I appreciate it.
Of course. D. Cortez said there's so much name dropping, trying to create a research list, which brings a question like, who should we be looking out for?
Who should you be looking out for?
Besides Vertical Current, of course.
Like locally?
Locally, nationally. We can start nationally.
All right. Well, locally, Tiny Spicy Chicken is Paris Bowen's band, and they're putting together some really cool sounds. I've been working with Marlon Lewis, so MB and the Misfits is a new thing on the rise, and we also have another band together, the Chris Stevens Quartet. Man, Trey Lambert's got a new record coming out that sounds really great. There's a lot of music just in Philly. I mean, I'd have to name everybody. Ode to Omni, Natalie Imani, Ebony Joy, Lisa Joe. Everybody's pretty much doing something, and it's amazing. Corey Riker, Ernest Stewart. It's just a really rich region. And all of my friends are making amazing music. Trinadelphia. It's a long list. I can't really get through it. As far as outside of the town, I have to really think about that. Chelsea Barrett's in New York is doing some great stuff. Maurice Brown, but that's people y'all probably know already. I don't really know who's like new like that. There's this group Freelance I found like last year online, and they came to Philly once. They're really dope. Butcher Brown is another band that I really like. That's pretty young. It's a really long list.
So, I mean, Philly is a very interesting town. So, let's just fast forward to 2021 when hopefully, as we cross our fingers, we can, us fans and U.S. artists can, perform and we can come consume. What would you want to see in the Philadelphia artist scene or the nightlife scene that hasn't been around in the past few years? I know that's a tough question.
Well, one thing that has come up in a couple of discussions is after this, I think it would be great if instead of us all going separate ways and having 30 events in the same night, if we could have like, here's the place to be. Here's everybody that's doing it tonight, you know what I mean? And everybody come here. Tomorrow we'll do something else. And it's all the other people who didn't do last night. And then just keep going like that. Because I think what ends up happening is, especially if you're a new band, you may not have that dedicated following that's going to see you over somebody else. you
Yeah.
know. So that's why festivals are really awesome for like independent artists, because hey, everybody came here to see Marcus Miller, but you got to see Vertical Currents, you got to see
Mm-hmm.
Old Time, you got to see Three Oranges. You know what I mean? You can't miss these bands because you know you're here for the whole day to see the festival. Center City Jazz Fest is another amazing opportunity like that. You know,
Yeah.
so I loved. I did it a couple years ago, and I played with Killiam Shakespeare and Three Oranges, so I had to like venue hop.
Uh-huh.
And I loved walking through the streets, hearing the music from all the different venues. And I'm like, why is this once a year? Why can't this be
Mm-hmm.
more often? You know what I mean? You know, and I know even with that, you still kind of got to split your time. But if it's happening more regularly, eventually you'll get to see everybody. Everybody will be seen. Everybody will be heard. So I'd like to see that. You know, I don't feel like Philly's a huge competitive town. It's not like, you know, we're fighting against each other, but I do feel like we could use more cooperation. Like,
Mm-hmm.
let's figure out more ways to work together, more ways to collaborate, more ways to bring everybody together, more ways to build it up for everybody, you know. And I think that that would really just be great across the board, even for venues, you know, because the venues don't want to book bands sometimes because they can't bring in the numbers. But it's like,
Yeah.
hey, if this band that's great has been exposed to more people, now when they play your venue, they're going to bring more people. So it helps everybody overall. I think if we can learn just some kind of way to work together with that goal in mind of, hey, we're going to all grow, we're going to all make this work, as opposed to just fending for ourselves, because it's easy to do that. You know, you get kind of just in the hustle and bustle of um, promoting your own shows and trying to plan your
Mm-hmm.
own shows and make sure you have enough work for your guys, you know.
Yeah. So how, I mean, has it been difficult building a loyal fan base in Philly?
Uh, Say it again.
Has it been difficult building a loyal fan base in Philly?
A little bit. It's been a
Mm-hmm.
little challenging. I feel like part of the reason is because of the style of music that I've chosen to do. You know,
Mm.
A is jazz and B is like mostly jazz fusion, which is not really the most popular sound for the area. You know,
Yeah.
I feel like Philly is really a rich soul town. You know what I mean? Like if you got
Mm-hmm.
something that's soulful and groovy and funk, you know, funk
Yeah.
does very well in the area. But if you're doing stuff like what we're doing, I think it's more of a niche audience, which is
Mm-hmm.
okay. I just would
Mm-hmm.
like to be able to connect with whoever those people are,
Mm.
so that they can have what we bring. You know, it's for
Yeah.
them. You know, they like it. This is for them. So,
Mm. Well, I do want to just
what's up,
give
B?
shout outs to B drums. Um, I do want to, if you guys have, just give another quick commercial break. If you guys have questions for Chris, feel free to drop them in the comments. We would love to share. This is a community chat, a neighborhood chat. So we want some participation. So we want to know what you guys are thinking. Um, so it's so funny that you say that, that Philly is a soul town, and in that there's always this, the sound of music, as you just said, really only happens once or twice a year. It's such a disconnect to the perception of Philly because, we're seen as this extremely musical town, and that people come here for the arts, but sometimes it seems that Philly doesn't like branding itself as that. You know what I mean? Like we
Hmm.
don't have it. You would think that there'd be live music every day of the week.
Right.
That doesn't happen as much as people think. Like we're not New Orleans. We're not New York, where that scene does happen on a daily, almost 24-hour basis. Like, is that something because I mean, I would love to see Philadelphia go in that direction. Do you think that's something that's even possible for Philly?
Oh, absolutely.
Mm,
Absolutely. And we have, different people working to make stuff like that happen. I think it's just going to take a little more time and probably a lot more money
yeah.
to really make it work. But I think this is definitely place where it should happen. You know, the
Yeah.
talent is here. There's so much talent, and the people in the city of Philly, but also in the surrounding areas. You know, I'm in South Jersey.
Mm-hmm.
Love music, love live music. You know, so I don't really see a reason why it can't be a everyday thing. You know, where we just go out and there's something great happening. You know, every night. You know,
Mm-hmm.
and it's not that there isn't now. I think it's just um, it's less publicized and it's not as unified, like I said before, you know.
Yeah.
So you might get 20, 30 people out at this spot, and then you got maybe 40 people at time, and then, 10 stragglers here, and then like nobody comes to this other show.
Yeah.
It's like, why are we having so many shows on the same night? I don't want to be competing with my friends. It's like,
Right.
they got a
Yeah.
great band, I got a great band, let's have a show together. But it's not that easy.
Mm-hmm.
So, somebody smarter than me hopefully will figure out the logistics and help make it make sense.
Listen, we all need that because listen, I'm tired of choosing what I want to go to on a particular night too.
Hands in the camera.
Everything, you guys okay over there?
Yeah, sorry. Trying to get this phone to stay still.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Oh, hey Marla, thanks for coming, Marla. Hey boo.
Hey.
So damn, I just had a good question. So do you also think South Jersey gets the respect that it deserves? Because I mean, there's a bunch of y'all having thriving careers from South Jersey.
I think South Jersey just gets roped into the Philadelphia region,
Yeah.
as opposed to being like a separate thing. And I can sort of understand that. I used to not understand it because I was like, yo, so-and-so's from Willingboro, or from Camden. Like, how
Right.
can they never say that? They always say Philly. But, at the end of the day, when they go do a show, where are they doing a show? They're doing a show in Philly, because we don't really have the venues or the scene here in South Jersey for that kind of thing. The South Jersey scene, as far as I've seen personally, is really great for cover bands. If you have, a cover band, especially down by the shore, South Jersey is your place. If you're doing more original music, especially jazz, there's not as many places to play in South Jersey. Now, North Jersey, I see there are a lot of venues doing jazz events and just other original music events, which is really cool. So hopefully, that'll turn around down here. But I don't know. I think I want it to be one way, but that might not work for everybody involved. So it's just a matter of finding a balance that works for everybody, I guess.
Mm-hmm. Hmm.
I
That
found
makes
that song, by the way, All Day Sucker. You know that one?
Yes, absolutely.
That song is so crushing. I might cover it one day. We'll see.
Oh, listen, we need the cover. Actually, that's one of my favorite like vocal productions. Is I have a lot of I would there's a lot of songs I would put in the vocal production like category, but that would be near the top. I really love that song. Um, so I mean, so what are you working on now?
Right now, I am finishing up a few projects. So I've been working on a score for a film called Love You Right by Christina Faith and her company, Creative Thought Media. It's an independent film starring Mark J.P. Hood.
Okay.
And I'm not sure when it's going to be released. I think the plan is to hit the festival circuit probably before it goes into the market, but I'm not sure about that. Don't quote me.
Mm-hmm.
But I've been working on that, and that's actually this is actually my first time doing an entire score by myself,
Nice.
like writing it, and I played most of it. I was able to get some help from a few friends and to play a couple parts on it as well. So grateful for that opportunity. And actually, right before the pandemic hit, I was making plans to go to South by Southwest
Oh,
because I worked on, I don't know if you know Kari Mateen.
love Kari, absolutely.
Yeah, Kari's awesome. And he actually scored a film
Yes.
called Really Love. And I was blessed to be a part of that. So I played on that. And so I was planning to go to South by Southwest because it was going to premiere there. And then this whole thing happened, and they shut down for the first time in 34 years.
I know. And it's
So
rushing the economy because a lot of those small businesses really depend on that festival to survive. That's the sad part of it all.
yeah, yeah. And I don't know. It's like when that happened, I wasn't expecting all of this to happen. I kind of just thought
Yeah.
that, you know, it was a big scare. Everybody's taking precaution, and then it'll normalize in a little bit. And then like 2 months later, you know, still sitting at home, you know. So
Mm-hmm.
interesting times.
Someone asked, D. Cortez asked, did Damien allow you to improvise during the movie production?
Okay, he's talking about La La Land. No, well, a little
Wait,
bit.
wait, wait.
There
So
were
you were so you're part of the score for La La Land?
no, I wasn't in the score for La La Land. I actually acted in the film.
Oh.
Yeah, I was there for I was there for 10 days. I think we actually filmed my scenes for 5 days. My wife was in it too.
Interesting.
Aaron Good was in it. But I had speaking parts, and they didn't make the final cut. But you know,
Wow.
my scenes are still mostly intact. The ones that most of them are still there. One of them got turned into like a little montage, so you only see me briefly in that part. Anyway, there's a rehearsal scene when Ryan Gosling's character first joins the band,
Uh-huh.
and we just kind of noodled through that in the beginning. But I don't know. I don't think they kept any of that. For the most part, they had a written score that we learned from, you know, that came along with the script, you
Mm-hmm.
know, and then we just played that, and then they used whatever music they already had for the score and the soundtrack.
Interesting. So, how did you get that role?
While I was on tour with John Legend, and you know, his production company is involved with that film, and he's in the film as well. And his tour manager, where were we? We were at the Biblos Festival in Lebanon. And I walk out of the dressing room, and the tour manager's like, "Hey, you want to be in a film?" I was like, "Sure." It's like, "All right, send me a headshot and a resume." You know, I emailed it right to him, and then next thing I know, I was in the film. I was
Wow.
like, "What is happening right now?" And I
See, you
didn't
better than
know.
me because I put Oscar-winning actor
Oh,
and Oscar-winning movie in
man.
all my social media profiles. LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook. That'd be the first thing you would have saw.
Well, I won't say that I haven't thought about it, but you know, that's not my style. You know, I just chill out. I figure if people want to know, it's there on my website or whatever. But I don't
Mm-hmm.
usually make a big deal. But it was fun. It was one of the greatest experiences of my life. I really enjoyed watching the whole thing be made and meeting everybody, and it was just great.
Mm.
Yeah.
Our friend Marla asked a really good question. What are your favorite venues to perform in Philly?
In Philly,
Yeah.
hmm, um, I really like South. There's just a
Mm-hmm.
vibe there, and I love that they have a piano.
Yeah.
That's like a million points in my book. Um, in Philly, does Ardmore count? I don't know if Ardmore counts.
Ardmore, to
Um,
me, it does.
yeah, okay. Well, I like Ardmore Music Hall. I mean,
Yeah.
I can't really think of too many places that I didn't like to play, but South would be one of my favorites for sure. Mhm.
Lauren Talisa says same. Hey, Lauren. Hey, Boo.
Hey,
I
Lauren.
saw Sean earlier about running. We'll talk about that later. Yeah, I really like South too, and I don't, the Bynums and Harry, they did a really good job of making sure that the acoustics sound great there. And you could tell that was like a key focus of building that place. Did you know sometimes when you go to a venue and it's like, oh, this is just a room.
Mhm. Yeah,
And South is definitely not like that. So
yeah, I miss that place, and the food is good.
the
You
food
know,
is good there.
so
Yeah,
that helps.
yeah. So, anything coming for Vertical Current?
Um, there is some discussion about some possible festival work.
Mm-hmm.
I will release details when I know definite information.
Yeah.
But it's being considered. You know, it's strange times, so I want to make sure that we're being safe and that we're considering everybody's safety. I really don't want to ask anybody to put themselves in any kind of dangerous position. Because the weird thing about this whole situation is it's not just about people being sick. You know, some people might be carriers and don't know it. And I would just hate to,
Yeah.
what if it's me? You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
I'm hanging around somebody, I don't have no symptoms. Now all of a
Right.
sudden it's sick. Like, I don't want to be responsible for that. So, I'm doing the social distancing thing and, you know, staying at home. But hopefully, uh, in another month or so, things will ease up
Mm-hmm.
and we'll be able to do some stuff. I'd like to do some stuff. So like I said, there's something that's being considered. If it actually becomes a thing, I'll certainly make sure you know about it and that everybody knows about it. But other than that, we've just been trying to figure out how to link up, maybe do some kind of recording stuff while this is all going on. So if anybody knows like a really good platform for um, performing live, like without the latency, let me know. Because I tried Jam Kazam, and I couldn't really get that to work the way I wanted. And a lot of latency with Zoom for me and for, just FaceTime. So I
Twitch.
don't know what
It's Twitch.
platform. Huh?
Twitch.
Twitch?
Yes, absolutely.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, Twitch. Or you could do like Erica Badu and build your own goddamn platform, which I love. But
Well, I'm going to have to
right.
inbox her. Erica, let me know how to do it.
Listen, Eric, I don't know if Erica Badu has mastered quarantine. I don't know what's in Dallas and what's in her hustle, how she got this hustle, but I'm all for it.
Yeah.
So I think we'll look back and to see that. Yeah, and what I love about this time, that's how everybody is embracing various forms of technology to produce music or get music to their fans. Like we're doing on Instagram. Other people have been using Twitch. The DJ community has truly embraced Twitch. Um, I've heard about some Zoom things, but I would try Twitch. Like that
Okay.
that would be my suggestion.
Okay. Very cool.
So I outside of working with your father, you also work a lot with your wife,
Hmm.
who's a very phenomenal vocalist in her own right.
Oh, thank
So
you. Yeah, she's amazing. Love her.
how did that come about?
Now that is a good story, I think. So she was singing with Benita Farmer, and I was playing with my cousin Ty, and we both had gigs in Baltimore. We had never met before. Actually, we found out that we met before, but neither of us remembered.
Mm-hmm.
But at this point, we didn't think we had met before. So we both went to the engagement, and I introduced myself to her afterwards. And then, like a week later, we met again in Atlanta for MegaFest. Both groups were booked for events there. And then, like another week later, both groups were booked for an event in Asbury Park. And so that third time, I was like, all right, well, I gotta do something. So I gave her my number, and we kept in touch. We started hanging out. And then actually the first time we hung out, she played some music for me that she had been recording. She was working with Freddie Washington. And
Mm-hmm.
I was like, this is amazing. And I had already heard her work from Benita's project, which was amazing. And I was like, this is serious. I started praying like, Lord, is she the one? I think she's the one. Right away, But she's extremely talented, and I just love her. So.
Aw. And so how did the collaboration into Vertical Current come about?
As far as my wife, or
Your
what do you mean?
wife, yeah. So is it like, hey, I want you to get on a song, or does she like propose songs to you? Like how does that work?
I usually invite her, to join in. I'll be like, hey, I got this song. Would you sing it?
Mm.
Yeah,
And
she'll
y'all
probably
already
oblige.
agree with that.
Thank you, thank you. Yeah, we just celebrated 15 years.
Oh wow.
Yeah, right.
Listen, you don't hear long-term relationships like that no more. Jeez.
I don't take it for granted. It's a blessing.
Yeah, it is. So another quick commercial break. If you guys have questions for Chris, we have about 15 more minutes left. Feel free to ask. Um, and speaking of forever, hold your peace. Um, Dang, I just had another question and I forgot what it was. Um,
I'm trying to
but
read through these comments.
I know you guys are such a beautiful couple. He gave Black love, a blessing indeed. Yeah.
Thank you all so much. Miss Sims, I see you. Thank you. Lady Alma. Man. Thank you all for tuning in too. I
Yeah.
appreciate that.
So that was going to be my question. What projects have you worked on that people might not know as a trumpeter? Because I know you said you record for other people's albums and whatnot. So like, what albums or songs have you been a part of?
Well, my first professional recording, I think, was for Vivian Green. Her album,
Oh,
A Love Story. I played on the song called No Sitting by the Phone.
oh,
So it's an oldie but goodie. Ty's projects, of course.
yeah.
On everything up to or including Greater Than. So anything after that is not me, but Greater Than, Standout. I'm on Fresh, but not playing trumpet. I wrote 2 songs on Fresh, and I'm playing piano on one of them. The only horn you'll hear on the Fresh album is actually Steve Duffy playing trombone.
Okay.
But Victory Live, I don't know if I said Standout already, but Standout, Life, and then the Underground, Concepts and Ideas joint. But not the first version of it. The first version of it, no horns. The second version is the one that we released at the Victory concert. So we
Okay.
revamped it, and so we added some horns to that. So on like 2 or 3 songs on that one. I don't know. I'm on a lot of records. Eric Roberson records, Jeff Bradshaw records,
Mm-hmm.
James Fortune. Man, go if you really want to know. It's on my website. I don't even want to try to remember all this stuff. But my website is chrisstevensmusic.com, and if you go there, you can see all of my albums that I've released so far. I think it's 8 or 9 of them, and then my resume is there with all the whoever I played for and TV shows and all that stuff. So yeah.
You just got a really good question. I love this, and I might steal this for some others.
All
If
right.
you could make a Mount Rushmore of albums or records that have impacted you, what would those albums be?
Um, this might be a funny look at Mount Rushmore, but Birth of the Cool,
Yes.
New Season by Israel New Breed.
Okay.
Because there was a period where I was only listening to gospel music, and I had that one album on repeat forever.
Mm.
So that
Does
was a
gospel
good one.
music and so the finish of Mount Rushmore, and I have a question about gospel music. Go ahead.
Man, I'm still not ready for this question.
I know. It's a tough one.
Heavy Weather Report. It's got to
Okay.
be on there. I don't know if I want to go with Jocko's birthday concert or Live in Japan, but Jocko Pastorius with his big band was a very influential album for me. And of course, Moment to Moment, Roy Hargrove,
Mm.
absolutely one of my favorites.
That's
I listened to that album a million times.
yeah.
Really studied that album a lot. Yeah, I think I'm gonna leave it at those for now. I need to think about that question some more, but yeah.
So how does gospel music inform your jazz performance now? Like, what elements from gospel do you take to jazz?
Hmm. um, Sensitivity, I think,
Mm.
would be the most prominent thing, you know, because when you're playing gospel music, at least for me, I try to be sensitive to the moving of the Holy Spirit and the atmosphere. You know, I'm really trying to be tuned in and trying to listen, you know, and not just make sound, you know.
Hmm.
So when I do make sound, it's intentional, you know. So
Yeah.
I try to do that in jazz, you know, try to be intentional, try to listen, try to feel the room out, try to gauge, you know, if the people are feeling it or not, you know.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, kind of a side note, but I met Roy Hargrove a couple of times, and
Yeah.
the first time I met him, he just finished playing the Directions in Music tour with Herbie Hancock, Michael Brecker, Brian Blade, John Patitucci. This is when
Hmm.
I was at Berkeley, so it was at Boston Symphony Hall,
Hmm.
and we connected right after the show, and then he went to Wally's, and my buddy Curtis Warren was performing that night. I was underage still, but Curtis got me in, so me and Roy actually sat in together, which was amazing.
Nice.
But when I talked to him, you know, his one piece of advice for me that night was to whatever you play, make sure the people feel it, and I've always carried that, you know. To try to make sure that the people feel it, to try to make sure that I'm connecting with the people that I'm playing for, and not just in my own world, you know. So if you see me dancing around or smiling or even attempting to sing, you know, that is usually my goal, to try to connect with the people that are in the audience as much as possible and not just get so into playing the trumpet that, you know, I'm ignoring the people around me, because I don't think that that's fun for anybody, you know. I think that the people will either be bored or perturbed, you know. And I think if I'm attentive, that, you know, people feel that attention and that love.
Happening.
Uh, uh, are we
but
back?
uh, but yeah, that was a really good answer. I've always wondered, because one, gospel and jazz are just so improv. I can't say the word. Both are built around improv.
Hmm.
So I was wondering if that was one of like the points that bridge the two for you.
Well, I tell you what, anytime I got to play something diminished in jazz, I'm thinking about gospel.
Interesting. That's
I mean,
interesting.
that diminished chord and that altered diminished is heavy in, you know, gospel music. So, you know, it's a sound that I was familiar with, you know, for a long time, bringing that to the jazz
Yeah.
there, but it just was easy for me to hear, you know.
Uh, we only have about 5 minutes left. There are some, a few questions in here. And I think I want to go with, what artist would you want to write for or collaborate
Do I only get one? That's so unfair.
with? Give
Um,
us three. Give us three.
all right. Well, one of my favorites is Bobby McFerrin, so I would love to do something with him. Um, Bruce Hornsby is another. I would really love to do something with. Um, and a third, maybe Herbie Hancock.
Mm-hmm.
I think
Mm-hmm.
that might be my three. I mean, all right. That said, obviously Stevie Wonder, but I didn't think I had to say him. Like, that's who wouldn't.
Right, that's a
You
given. I
know?
can't sing or play a musician, but I would want to do something with Stevie too.
Right. Yeah.
We talked about. I hope your ears were burning, Trey. But we met. We talked about you earlier. So shout outs to Trey Lambert who just popped into the room. And let's do one more question. Let's see what's in here. Oh, this is a good one. How has your journey of being a man of faith and a married man narrowed or broadened your scope of work?
Um, I would say that it has narrowed the scope in that I'm focused. I'm more focused. I remember when I was, young and single, which wasn't very long because I got married at 22.
Oh wow.
But remember, I started at like 16, so
Yeah.
there was a little period for me when I was young and single, and I was girl crazy like any young man. So
Mhm.
that took up a lot of time and energy that you know I'm sure was quite a distraction. So even when I went back to college, I was married at that point, and it helped me be focused, and I
Hmm.
think that focus just helped me get things done. You know, as far as broadening, uh, it's just something about having a woman in your life, a good woman especially, a praying woman especially. You know, but it's a completely different perspective, than my own. And so learning from her and learning to see the world through her eyes, just shapes the way I see and hear the world and the way I want to respond to it. And so I want to be, um, again, attentive, you know, um, and not just be in my own world, but I also want to make sure um, that I'm expressing uh, love and care and concern. I work with a lot of different women. Limo has been in band for some time, and Chartel, and we've worked with Tracy Preston and Lady Alma, and lots of different women over the years. And I embrace them each as sisters. And I'm able
Hmm.
to respond to them with a different kind of respect, I think, just from having the years of experience with my wife. You know what I mean? So,
Nice.
you know, short answer.
Short but very good answer. That was really, 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 really good. And we thank you for that. Speaking of Limo, she just entered the room. Hey, Lee.
Yo, what's up? Hey, Marla, I see you too.
And to just to give a little plug, Lee will be on the show on Friday, so you want to tune in then.
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah, but Chris, how can the folks support you? How can we uh, find your music? Drop everything.
Yeah, if you go to my website, chrisstevensmusic.com, um, all the music is there. So you can check it out there and buy it on Bandcamp if you want. But it's also on Apple Music, Spotify, Tidal, Amazon, all that stuff. So I take streams too. I'd love it if you buy it, but even if you stream it, I really want people to listen to it. I really want people to, not just pass it by. So if you get a chance, check it out. I would appreciate that.
And I'm a living testament. His music, that Vertical Currents music, really uplifts me, and it's been one of the album where Shayla is singing what 2 or 3 songs. Which album was that? The album I did
Um,
about.
Probably The Future is Bright. She's singing 2 songs on there.
Yes, yeah, that's the one that's been a source of inspiration for me over these last few weeks during the quarantine. So I definitely encourage folks, if you haven't heard it, to check it out.